Hey guys, it's Xander here, and we're back looking at decks in Standard. This is a Lumbering Pirate deck that I put together for you guys. I'm just going to talk about the main board, talk about the sideboard, interactions between, and hopefully you guys enjoy the video. So to start off the lineup, we're running 4 copies of the namesake of the deck, Lumbering Battlement. So Lumbering Battlement is for 5, 4, and a white. It's a 4/5 beast with vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, you can exile any number of other non-token creatures you control until it leaves the battlefield. Lumbering Battlement gets +2/+2 for each card exiled with it. The combo side of this is, I think the magic number is 3, but we can do it with 2 or even 1 of the Lumbering Battlement because of the other copy and blink effects that we have in the deck. So the Lumbering Battlement combo was something that was figured out during the spoiler season, something that's just been kind of a bit dopey. I've just put a pirate theme behind it with Esper colors, and the deck works surprisingly well. I've seen a lot of people do it with Jeskai colors, running the Pyromancer, which comes in, deals 2 damage to an opponent or a planeswalker, and then they do the infinite loop to deal infinite damage to the face. We have a similar effect in this deck, but we also have ways to shore up the combo, essentially giving us 12 creatures that will allow us to more reliably be able to get the combo off, and other ways to just dig through the deck to get the combo pieces that we need. So another one of the key parts to the deck is the 4 copies of Mirror Image, which is for 3, 2, and a blue. It's a 0/0 shapeshifter that enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. So when we play the Mirror Image, we can bring it in as a 3-mana copy of a Lumbering Battlement, bringing our battlement count to 2. So to get the infinite loop, we need a 3rd, or using a similar effect with the 4 copies of Hostage Taker. So Hostage Taker is for 4, 2, a blue, and a black. It's a 2/3 human pirate. When it enters the battlefield, you exile target artifact or creature until Hostage Taker leaves the battlefield. You can cast the card as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were any type to cast that spell. So how the combo will work is if we've got, say we play a Hostage Taker, we exile one of their cards, do whatever with that card, it doesn't matter. We play a Lumbering Battlement, exiling Hostage Taker. We play the Mirror Image, copying the Lumbering Battlement. With that trigger on the stack, the Lumbering Battlement goes away. And then when it goes away, the Hostage Taker will come back in, exiling the Mirror Image. When the Mirror Image gets exiled, it brings back the Lumbering, and we kind of get the loop here. So as long as we have the 2 exile effects, and at minimum 2 Lumbering Battlements, we have this infinite loop of creatures coming in and exiling, but because of the Lumbering Battlement's ability to grab any non-token creatures, any number of non-token creatures, any ETBs that we have on our creatures, we can grab those in between the triggers and get infinite triggers of whatever we want. So to abuse that combo, we've got 3 copies of Ravenous Chupacabra, which is for 4, 2, and 2 black. It's a 2/2 beast horror. When it enters the battlefield, you destroy target creature and opponent controls. So if it's in the combo, we can just board wipe on their side. 3 copies of Siren Stormtamer as a bit of protection in the deck. At 1 blue, it's a 1/1 Siren Pirate Wizard with flying. And it's also got pay 1 blue, sacrifice it, counter target spell or ability that targets you or a creature you control. Just protecting our Lumbering Battlement combo. 2 copies of Forerunner of the Coalition, which is for 3, 2, and a black. It's a 2/2 human pirate with, when it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a pirate card, reveal it, and then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. Whenever a pirate enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1. So if we've got this out while we've got a Hostage Taker blink combo happening, they just die. But we can also use this to tutor the Hostage Taker in the first place. That's why it's in the deck. It's a 3-mana 2/2 that drains our opponent and fetches one of the cards that we need to make the combo work. Insanely good card for what we're trying to do. 2 copies of Sailor of Means, which is for 3, 2, and a blue. It's a 1/4 human pirate, and when it enters the battlefield, you create a treasure, which just has tap, sacrifice, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So if this is the card that we have on the battlefield, when we start doing the infinite loop, we can generate infinite mana, and then we've got a couple of ways that we can spend that mana to draw us into the cards that we need to actually win the game. So we've got 2 copies of Mentor of the Meek, which is for 3, 2, and a white. It's a 2/2 human soldier. Whenever another creature you control with power 2 or less enters the battlefield, under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, you draw a card. So what happens is we start doing the infinite loop with the mana. We got nothing to spend the mana on. So we go, okay, I generate infinite mana, and then I start drawing as many cards as I want. So with the Mentor of the Make out and us infinitely recurring a 1/4 human pirate and getting us a treasure, we get a 1/4, it generates a treasure, triggering the ability, its powers 2 or less, we can sack the treasure, pay the 1, draw a card, which draws us into the Forerunner. Then we can just keep the combo going and win the game. Or we can draw into the 2 copies of Wall of Lost Thoughts, which is for 2, 1, and a blue, a 0/4 wall with Defender, And when it enters the battlefield, target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, just milling our opponent out, and then pass the turn, they die. The other way we have to draw cards in the deck, but it's a little bit more circumstantial, is the 2 copies of Stormfleet Spy, which is for 3, 2, and a blue. It's a 2/2 human pirate with raid, so when it enters the battlefield, if you attacked with a creature this turn, you draw a card. So as long as we've attacked with something, and then we do the infinite loop in our second main phase, and draw us the cards that we need to get to the combos. Onto the spell side of things, we're not running many, but we are running some useful stuff. 4 copies of Opt. For 1 blue, at instant speed, you scry 1 and you draw a card. Just a great cantrip for what we're trying to do in the deck. And then we're also running 4 copies of Shimmer of Possibility, which is for 2, 1, and a blue. At sorcery speed, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, and you put 1 of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Just allowing us to dig really deep into our deck to try and find the cards that we need for the combo. To add a little bit more to the combo side of stuff, as well as a layer of added protection, we're also running 4 copies of Siren's Ruse, which is for 2, 1, and a blue. At instant speed, you exile target creature you control, and then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. If it was a pirate, you draw a card. So this can kick our combo off, if we've got no other way to do it, by exiling a hostage taker or exiling one of the lumbering battlements, even a couple of rotations of the combo, just to try and get a couple of triggers off, either killing creatures or pinging for a couple of damage, drawing a couple of cards, whatever we want. Or if they're trying to kill our creature, we can exile it, blink it out, their spell fizzles, it comes back in, and we're still doing okay. Targeting the hostage taker or targeting any one of our combo pirates, we get the added advantage of drawing a card off it as well. Insanely good card for what we're trying to do. It's pirate tribal, it's draw card, it's protection, it's everything this deck's trying to do. Insanely cool. Touching on the land base here, 3 copies of Watery Grave, which is an island swamp, comes in tapped unless you pay 2 life. 3 copies of Hollowed Fountain, which is a plains island, comes in tapped unless you pay 2 life. Godless Shrine, in a 3 of, plains swamp, comes in tapped unless you pay 2 life. 3 copies of Drowned Catacombs, which enters the battlefield tapped unless you control an island or swamp. Glacial Fortress comes in tapped unless you control a plains or island. And 2 copies of Isolated Chapel comes in tapped unless you control a plains or swamp. And 3 islands. The combo side of this deck is insanely fun. I definitely recommend playing this deck. I've actually won considerably more games than I thought I would using this. Obviously, the way that the deck is now, it's not super good against super heavy control, but you can probably tweak your sideboard a bit to fit the meta if that's what you're coming up against a lot. Touching on the sideboard here, we're running 3 copies of Duress, which is for 1 black at sorcery speed. Target opponent reveals their hand and you choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. Adding to the discard, we're also running 2 copies of Thought Erasure, which is for blue and a black at sorcery speed. Target opponent reveals their hand, you choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. And Surveil 1. Adding to the filtering in the deck, adding to the discard against control. Depending on the right matchup, 3 copies of Ixalan's Binding, which is for 4, 3, and a white. It's an enchantment. When Ixalan's Binding enters the battlefield, you exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until Ixalan's Binding leaves the battlefield. Your opponent can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card. In some decks, this can absolutely shut them down. A lot of the times, control decks won't be running a lot of creatures. Insanely good card, and it's not just creatures, because it's exile target non-land permanent. So hitting Wilderness Reclamations, and they can never play those. Against Gates decks, hitting the Guild Summits. Just an all-round really good card. A little bit more spicy tech, we're running 3 copies of Exclusion Mage, which is for 3, 2, and a blue. It's a 2/2 human wizard with, when it enters the battlefield, you return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. This is played in the Jeskai Wizards version of the Lumbering Battlement deck. Being able to bounce creatures to your opponent's hands is a hell of a lot of fun. You could always swap this out for just stuff like Negate or Spell Pierce if you want to shore up your combo stuff in games 2 and 3. But I just like the fun aspect of being able to bounce back all their creatures to their hand. It's a lot of fun. 2 copies of Shieldmare, which is for 3, 1, and 2 white. It's a 2/3 horse. Shieldmare can't be blocked by red creatures, but when it enters the battlefield or becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you gain 3 life. And as soon as we get this into our combo, it can gain us infinite life. And a lot of the times that'll be worth a concession by our opponent because they just can't deal that much damage. Just a hell of a lot of fun. A really good addition to the deck. And finishing off the sideboard here, we're running 2 copies of Burglar Rat. Again, you could swap this out for counterspells. Definitely worth doing. I just had it in here for a bit of fun. It's for 2, 1, and a black. It's a 1/1 rat. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. So if we've got our combo going off, we have infinite discard. But a lot of the times, this is just coming in on curve against control and hopefully hitting something useful from our opponent. Any amount of discard against control is always going to be good for us in this deck. So that is the sideboard, that is the main board, and that is Lumbering Pirates in Standard. And this deck is a hell of a lot of fun, guys. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
Thanks for watching, guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to see new videos as they were released. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, you can throw me $1 on my Patreon at patreon.com/SandersQuest. And I will see you guys in the next video. Keep questing, guys.